Hey everyone, welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner and owner of Elevation Financial. You can find me on the web at elevationfinancial.com. We're going to talk about how to freeze your credit and why you might want to. So, in our always connected digital world, it's really important to protect your financial identity. Identity theft has become really, really common, much more prevalent, data breaches everywhere. A lot of us are becoming increasingly vulnerable to financial fraud. So, one tool in your kind of fight against this problem is a credit freeze. So, what exactly is a credit freeze and why should you consider implementing one? So, a credit freeze, also known as a security freeze, it's a free service that allows you to restrict access to your credit report. So, when you freeze your credit, you essentially lock down your credit file, making it nearly impossible for identity thieves to open up new accounts in your name. Most creditors need to see your credit report before approving a new account. So, if they can't access your report, they're unlikely to extend credit to someone claiming to be you. So in recent years, we've seen a ton of uptick in identity theft cases. Millions of Americans are falling victim every year, and a credit freeze acts as a barrier against fraudulent activities, and it gives you greater control over who can access your credit information. So it's a really a proactive step that can save you from the stress, time, and potential financial losses associated with identity theft. So let's talk about why you might want to freeze your credit. So data breaches, as mentioned before, have become alarmingly common. So freezing your step is a proactive way to safeguard your financial identity. So major corporations and institutions are frequently targeted by cyber criminals, and that can potentially expose millions of consumers' sensitive information. These breaches can lead to really devastating consequences. They can include unauthorized credit accounts, fraudulent purchases, and can damage your credit score. And that can take years to repair sometimes. So it's a pretty big issue. It's very inconvenient, very high maintenance, can cause a lot of damage. And the potential fallout from ID theft extends beyond just the financial issue. Victims of identity theft can really face a long and stressful journey when it comes to reclaiming your identity. You can spend a lot of hours filing police reports, disputing fraudulent charges, and working to restore your credit. And so the process can really be emotionally draining. It can affect your ability to, get employment, rent apartments, obtain loans. It can just be a massive mess. So by implementing a credit freeze, you can create a barrier against those threats, and that can help you avoid many future headaches. So a credit freeze is particularly beneficial for individuals who don't anticipate applying for new credit in the near future. If you're not planning to take out a loan, open a new credit card, or make any major purchases that might require a credit check, a freeze can give you protection without inconvenience. It's also an excellent precaution for seniors who might be more vulnerable to certain types of financial fraud, or for parents who might be looking to protect their children's credit before they're old enough to actually use it. So a credit freeze can be an important tool in the aftermath of a known data breach. So if you see a data breach and your information is part of that, or maybe you've already been victim of identity theft, you can freeze your credit promptly, and that can help prevent further damage and give you time to assess the situation and take any necessary precautions. So a credit freeze is a pretty good protective measure, but it's just one component of an overall plan to your approach to financial security. So you want to regularly monitor your credit reports, practice good cybersecurity habits, and stay informed about the latest fraud trends. Those are all important things to be aware of. So how do you freeze your credit? So let's talk through the process. You have to freeze your credit with each one of the three major credit bureaus. These are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So it's really important you freeze your credit with all three bureaus to make sure that you're protecting yourself everywhere, because creditors might use any of those agencies to check your credit. So first, you'll need to contact each bureau individually. The most convenient method is online. But you can also do it by phone or mail. I don't recommend mail. It's pretty old school. So online is best. Phone is probably second best. When you freeze your credit online or by phone, you'll need to provide things like your full name, address, date of birth, social security number, And if you choose to use mail, you might need to include copies of documents to prove your identity, like driver's license and utility bill, copies of those things. So Equifax is they have a website that lets you freeze online. You can call their 800 number, which is 800-349-9960. But again, going online to Equifax.com is ideally the most convenient and secure way to do that. Experian, also, again, their website is Experian.com. Use their website to freeze your credit or call 888-397-3742. And then finally, TransUnion, which of course is transunion.com. Go online to their website or call them at 888-909-8872. So each bureau will provide you with a PIN or a password when you set up your freeze. You want to keep that information in a safe place because you'll need that to lift or remove that freeze if you need to in the future. The process is pretty quick. With online or phone requests, they can be processed within one business day typically. Mail requests might take 3 to 5 business days after they receive it. So again, while it's kind of a hassle to go to all 3 bureaus, it's important to make sure that you freeze your credit with all 3 for completeness. So when it comes to managing the credit freeze, once you've implemented the credit freeze, you can manage it by lifting it if you need to. So again, if you're applying for a loan or a credit card or some sort of event that requires a credit check, you can temporarily lift the freeze. Contact each bureau individually using the PIN or password. You can go online and do that. You can usually specify a date range. You can say, hey, lift my credit freeze for this 1 week out of this year, for example, or these date to this date. And then your freeze will automatically be reinstated after that date passes. That's particularly useful when you're using a specific service, maybe getting a mortgage. You want to allow multiple lenders to access your credit report within a certain time frame, like 30 days, for example, and then we no longer need the freeze. It'll go back into effect. So credit freezes do offer strong protection, but they have some potential drawbacks. The main inconvenience is the need to plan ahead when you need a credit check. Lifting a freeze isn't instantaneous. It could take a few days to lift that freeze. So you got to kind of plan ahead and make sure that if you do apply for a loan or a credit card or a mortgage, you want to make sure you plan ahead to lift that freeze. Also, a freeze won't prevent misuse of your existing accounts. So it's still important to monitor your statements and report any suspicious activity promptly for existing accounts you already have. Also, as an alternative for those who find a full freeze too restrictive, there are some alternatives like fraud alerts. You can institute fraud alerts with your accounts, and that can alert you when potential transactions are happening on your accounts. And if you're applying frequently for new credit, that can be a good alternative. So ultimately, is a credit freeze right for you? Maybe. If you don't need to apply for a loan in the near future and you want extra protection against identity theft, maybe you've been a victim of a mass security breach in one of the major corporations or institutions. In these cases, a credit freeze can be a great way to protect yourself. So just kind of assess your individual situation and see if it makes sense for you. But that is the step to, or those are the steps to applying a credit freeze. All right, as always, you can find me on the web at elevationfinancial.com or on pretty much any social network. If you'd like to reach out and talk to me in real time, maybe get some questions answered, or maybe you're thinking of becoming a client, you're welcome to book a free consultation on my website, again, which is elevationfinancial.com. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining me today. Have a great day. We will see you next time.